Hi, my name is Mike Calvert-Smith. This is the first of a number of videos that I'll be making. I'll take the glasses off. Number of videos that I'll be making to go through restorations of different vehicles, British sports cars dating from the 50s, perhaps a little earlier, through to probably the late 70s. And by that we're talking about MGs, Triumphs, really basically anything that comes under that banner. So just to introduce myself and what these videos are for. My name is Michael Calvert-Smith. I'm funny enough, an ex-investment banker who decided to drop the lot and go in for what I prefer doing the most, which is restoring classic vehicles. The name of my little business, and it is little, is called Alchemy Restorations. Alchemy being, as you well know probably, the transformation of base metal into gold, or the transformation of something raw into something refined. And I rather like the image because what that says to me is that you take a vehicle which is in poor condition and transform it into something of beauty, which vehicles, and particularly British sports cars at that time, were. So that's what I do. Why have I decided to do these sorts of videos on YouTube? Is simply because I look around quite often for videos saying who has done this before me, what can I learn from other people's experiences, and to be truthful, there isn't a lot out there. There's one or two films where a series of photographs of different restorations, but none of them actually give you what I did here, what I did wrong, what was the case in this, what did I do there, how did I get around this particular problem, or especially what mistakes did I make, and how did I get out of them. And so I thought, well, I'll put something together and maybe that can be of help to people. The target audience really, the target audience is anybody who wants to watch it, but people really I'm aiming this at are the garage restorer who has a little bit of knowledge about cars, but not necessarily that of a mechanic or just someone who loves vehicles and just wants to get involved with restoring, either because he wants to make a bit of cash or because he loves the car, wants to restore it, drive around in it, give it as a present, or her. I say him, but it can easily be her. I use the him generic, of course. And the restorer can then profit from having rebuilt something, have the pleasure of seeing something running and rolling that he or she has done completely themselves. Completely is a relative term, but completely themselves. So that's who we're aiming at. Now, my philosophy for restoring cars, and I've done a number. I've done midgets, I've done MGA in the past, I've done several other vehicles. What I like to do is I don't aim to go for concourse, simply because it's the old 80-20 rule. I mean, the last 20% of getting it to concourse costs you 80% of the cost, of the expenses of doing the vehicle. What I do try to do is try to get as close as I can to as it left the factory. Not always possible. It just isn't always possible. I mean, you have to be realistic about these things. And a car that left the factory was not concourse. I mean, one of the lovely stories you hear about E-types is that when Ferrari saw it, he didn't understand how William Lyons could get the car out at such a price. Well, the reason was they were just badly made. Everything was done on the cheap for E-types. The pretty restored E-type is probably better than the original E-type as it came out of the factory. When on the MG production line, in Abingdon, one of the main tools that the production line had was a hammer and a block of wood, just to make the gaps fit, to make the different panels fit, where pressed steel hadn't really done quite a good enough job, so on and so forth. So coming out of the factory does not mean concourse. Okay. The second thing I like to think of too, I think it's very important, is you've got to love the car. When you have a car that you're taking it to bits, you're putting it back together again, if you don't feel a connection with it, you'll do a good old job, but you go that extra mile if you really feel a connection between you and the car that you're restoring. And believe me, there are times when it's you've fed up, you've had enough, it just nothing works, and you cut your hand and so on and so forth. It's only that which will pass you on to the next step. Make it just okay, well, I'll continue, and it works. And then the first time you fire the thing up, it works. You go for your first ride in it, even if it's not finished, then you know why you did it all. So that's the thing. Those are things that I believe are very important. So, what cars have I? The vehicle I'm currently working on is an MG Midget from 1977. It's a 1500 Midget, GAN 6, that had already been converted into a chrome bumpered version. Now, I like them. I don't like rubber bumpers, but there is something about 1500s. However, they were actually a better car than the 1275s or earlier models. They were a little bit more robust, and they were a little bit the higher driving ride, suspension ride, really was a better thing for them. This having been said, the car's been lowered back to 1275 levels, or will be anyway. So, but that's the car I'm working on right now. Now, the history of this car, as far as I'm concerned, is fairly strange. In as much as I bought it from eBay, I had it shipped over to France, where I live. I'll come back to that in a minute. And it looked lovely, but it wasn't very expensive, so I kind of figured it would be a wreck. However, when it got here, it was true to form to the photographs. It was in beautiful condition, aesthetically anyway. Carpets were new, there were new wings, a lovely paint job, a new hood. And then I took the carpets out, and you could walk on the road. There were no floor pans left at all, and the thing is just rust from front to back. But I didn't pay a lot for it, so I don't really mind. But it's one lesson. You pay more, generally the chances are that the car will be in better condition. If you buy a car cheaply, chances are it'll need a lot of work on it. So, don't be surprised. It's just a common sense, I guess, where people think they pick up bargains. I don't think bargains exist. You generally get what you pay for. The car that's waiting in line now is a TR4A that I imported from the States, from New York. And it's left-hand drive, which suits me because I live in France, and so I can put it out onto the French market when it's done. Now, in my garden, covered up, and they'd be ready to go. Now, that I didn't pay a lot for, and I know it's a wreck. I know it'll need completely rebuilding. So, again, it's better to, I believe, better to buy a car is a wreck than a car you think is good and it turns out to be a wreck. It sounds dumb, but, again, you get what you pay for. So now I have my assistant in the garage, and this is Max, and I'll just show you Max. Bear with me. I don't know if you can see him at all. Max? There's Max. Oh, he's just moving around. Excuse me. Oh, Maxie! Here's Max. No, he doesn't want to. No. He doesn't want to come. I don't really got a sight of him there. Max sits me within the garage all day, despite the noise. Okay, so just to recap a little bit, these videos are going to be for people who have a little bit of knowledge, not much. They want to do up cars themselves. They don't necessarily have an enormous amount of cash to be able to farm things out to everybody. To professionals, for example, to get it stripped, to get the engine rebuilt, the things that they want to do that they need to do themselves for financial reasons, all want to do themselves, and really just to give a step-by-step trip along the road of what I did to restore this car, and then when I've done this car, then we'll go on to the TR when I start on that one. Now, I do everything myself. I don't farm anything out. And that's to welding. I make up panels if needs be, although I do for MGs, it's so easy to buy them hard at the time, it's not worth it, but I can make them up and have done. The paint I do myself, and not necessarily with enormous amounts of I don't have an oven or anything, I just do it in my garage, which has been cleaned up nicely, and then, or as much as I can, and then I have lots of elbow grease. The electrics I do myself, and I'll even do upholstery myself if needs be. You'll find with these cars that most things are simple. Now, I have another car which is my toy, which is an XKR. I wouldn't even touch it. I just couldn't deal with it. It's far too complicated. Everything's electronic and everything's a bit of an issue to deal with, so I don't. The thing is about British sports cars of that era is they were simple. And so you can do everything yourself. You just need to have some confidence, be prepared to make mistakes, and something which I'll come on to in the next video, be prepared to invest in tools. Okay, I'll come on to that. I won't go into that here now, but it's important. It's a good point. It's a point which I think needs underlining. So there we are. This is Mike Calvert-Smith, Alchemy Restorations. Hope you like the videos coming from now on. I won't go on any more about theory, and next time around we'll go through the workshop and I'll talk a little bit about safety. I'll talk about how to work in a garage, because we can't all afford or have access to 300 square meters worth of space with car lifts and the whole lot. What tools, equipment you should have, whether you need to do courses at all, and we'll take it from there. Okay, now the last point I want to make is I apologise for the quality of the filming. I don't have professional equipment. I don't even have a GoPro stick on my head while I'm doing stuff. I guess if this generates a little bit of interest, I'll start trying to do something a little better. But right now it's on my tablet. So there we are. Thanks very much indeed. See you next time. Bye-bye.